Hi again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Friends Talking Trends. My name is Mike Pachenik.
And I'm Pauline Barron.
And this is a podcast about marketing and PR and everything else in between. We're so glad you're joining us on this episode. And today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of business to business marketing. And who better to talk about that than our own growth guru, Pauline Barron, my co-host on this show. Pauline, excited to talk about this topic. Let's kick it off. And if a B2B or a business-to-business company is ready to grow, where would you say they should start and what should they be investing in?
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. I absolutely love this topic. And honestly, the short answer is to evaluate your business model, think about your goals, your budget, and establish a sales architecture framework that is efficient and includes a strong and effective demand generation program.
Great. And along those lines, Pauline, what is demand gen? Because I've seen people kind of conflate demand gen and lead gen in the same sentence, and they're very different things. So give us an idea of what that is.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. It's very, very common. So for everybody listening in to understand, demand generation is a strategy to create interest in your product or brand and to pretty much build awareness. It involves creating and distributing targeted content that educates potential customers on solving common challenges that are relevant to their product or industry. On the other hand, lead generation aims to capture that demand and capitalize on the interest that demand generation creates. It focuses more on designing valuable offers that prospects would get in exchange for their contact details.
Got it. So when would you use demand gen and when would you use lead gen?
Yeah, so ideally you need to use both to drive growth, right? So demand generation campaigns must be supported by a robust lead generation strategy. In both strategies, they need to be connected. So if you think about without a robust demand generation strategy, marketing leads arrive with a lack of education and little intent to purchase. But then on the other hand, without the intentional lead generation campaigns and a compelling offer for prospects to hand over details, the demand generation builds hype, awareness, and interest in a product, but it doesn't actually capitalize on it. So the coordination between the two disciplines is crucial for accelerating sales growth.
Those are great points. Let's focus on demand gen for this particular episode. If someone's listening and they want to start a demand gen program, what would be a few effective tactics that they should implement?
Yeah. So first, I'll definitely start with account-based marketing. So creating very personalized content and experiences that speak directly to the needs and interests of individual and strategic accounts. That's a really good way to start. Account-based marketing can be extremely helpful and efficient if you're doing it the right way. And account-based marketing is a part of a demand generation program to really understand who your customer or your prospect is and be highly targeted in that approach. Starting a conversation, educating, and building that relationship from the get-go. The second thing that I would say is definitely content marketing. So creating and sharing valuable content using a variety of channels that are at your disposition that educates and informs potential customers with the goal of building trust and establishing thought leadership is very, very important. So you can do podcasts, you can do webinars, you can do a variety of things like blogs and white papers and all sorts of channels and types of content to really create that value, to really, resonate with people. So the third thing I would say is to really invest in your social media marketing, leveraging social media platforms to engage with prospects and customers with the goal of building brand awareness and driving engagement is really powerful. Having a place where people can go to and search about you and learn more about you. And for example, LinkedIn. I remember building, from scratch a LinkedIn strategy for B2B companies that were extremely successful that would increase how they engage with you, how they engage with your brand, how they understand who you are, your value, and what you're bringing to the table. So that's extremely important for you to focus on channels where your prospects are going to be at. So I would say the next one would be, search engine optimization, which is SEO. So pretty much thinking about your website content and the structure of your content, how they navigate, how easy it is for them to understand and get the information that they need, the buttons and the whole experience, the journey, in their website, because that structure is going to improve your search engine rankings and your organic traffic. It's going to improve how you come across your value proposition. You have one chance, right, to resonate with people, and that's your chance, your website. So make sure that your website it's really aligned with what you're trying to do, the problems you solve, and how you solve them for your future clients. One topic that it's really important as well is email marketing. So email marketing is used to reach out to prospects and customers with the goal of building relationships and driving engagement. And that goes from any stage of your customers. It could be top funnel, mid funnel, bottom of funnel. So just make sure they're investing in email marketing campaigns, because one, they can be fairly cheap, and they also have a really good chance and really good probability of working, and bringing up topics and engaging with people, and putting these people through the funnel and making sure that they are advancing in your pipeline. The last one I would say, just to keep it high level, will be influencer marketing. So getting cases of success and reliable leaders that are seen as authorities in your space, and work with them as part of your strategy, and to build that authority and that thought leadership. So these would be pretty much the six things, the six tactics, like high level tactics that you can do in your demand gen program.
Pauline, 5 of those seem relatively obvious, like, email marketing, social media. But the one that I think maybe we could take a deeper dive on is the account-based marketing, ABM, as it's referred to. Relatively newer kid on the block, right? Just give us a high-level overview for our listeners and viewers. What is that, and how does it work?
Yeah, so if you think about a regular lead generation or demand generation, you think of as a funnel, right? Like it's larger at the top, and then it starts to get smaller in the middle, and then small at the bottom. So that means that you're gonna reach out to a lot of people with somewhat a broader content, filter out the people that are interested until they reach your pipeline, and you identify intent of buying, and how well they align with what you have to offer. Account-based marketing is on the other side of things. Account-based marketing, it's more like a targeted approach. You do that research upfront. So you identify the accounts or the companies that are most likely to be interested, and they are doing the research. They show that they have an intent to buy. They show they would be a really good client. They are looking for exactly what you sell. And then you're going to go after them. And you're going to go after them in a very targeted form, a targeted approach. And that's kind of like the difference. The account-based marketing, it is a lot more work upfront, but you also, can get pretty amazing results, especially for strategic accounts. So if you want to start, for example, a new vertical, a new industry, then if you get one of these accounts, that's going to open up a lot of business opportunities for you in that industry. So it's 100% worth it for you to put that work up front between marketing and sales, for them to do all the research and make sure that you understand how people are interacting online, their behavior online, where they are in their search stage. And you're going to be able to resonate with them, and you're going to be able to, do everything that you can, all of your content, all of your approaches, your communications with this company. It has to be very strategic and focused on getting a meeting. So that's pretty much the difference. Like, the meeting is the main goal for the account-based marketing upfront, whereas the demand gen and the lead gen, it's kind of like it takes a while for you to nurture these people. Like, the account-based marketing, pretty much they are close to ready, so you don't need to have any heavily nurturing strategy. Obviously, you still have to convince them that you are the best solution for them, but they already show some interest there. So they are a little bit more advanced than just the cold leads or the lead gen or the men gen, that you still have to, explain what's going on in the market, and pretty much get their interest and generate that interest. That's pretty much how it works. And the account-based market you can also do first by yourself. So the first thing I would say is don't go and spend 60K, 100K on a platform if you don't have the budget or if you haven't done account-based marketing before. Try to do that like using the CRM that you have, spreadsheets, coming up with a process with your sales leaders, and then testing it out and then making sure it works before you kind of like jump into like these very comprehensive and amazing tools. Make sure that you're doing your homework and you have a strategy in place and you have tested your pilot. And then you can go ahead, wait maybe a quarter or two, then you can go ahead and start looking for ABM solutions. And I can certainly talk about like one whole episode only on ABM, and I can give you some tips on how to find the best solution for you. But that's pretty much the difference between the demand gen and then account-based marketing. And both of them have a place in B2B marketing, and both of them can be very effective if done right.
Yeah, I remember when you implemented that at the company where you and I worked together, and I remember being fascinated by this concept and thinking, wow, this is really amazing that you can glean that kind of data from what's already out there. It's not like you're really reinventing the wheel. You're just seizing on that customer information that's already available and then using it to your advantage. So that's definitely an entire episode at some point down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very fascinating.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the best practices then. You've talked about these tactics. What are the best practices to ensure that these tactics will succeed?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, Mike, because a lot of people come to me and ask exactly the same thing. So the first thing that I would say is that, first of all, you only know what works and what doesn't work when you test it, when you perform all sorts of tests and you identify what works for you. The people you're targeting and the data, that will show you what's best for you, what's the best approach for your business, what's working, what's not, what's resonating. So that's kind of like the key point here. Always test things, always make sure that you are your eyes are open for these little changes. And so pretty much the purpose of demand generation is to generate a healthy pipeline. So you also need to evaluate your processes, your goals, and establish the right metrics for you to track. But yes, there are some things that you can do to ensure that you have a good starting point, and most likely you succeed, or at least things that will help you learn fast or will show you in order for you to pivot. So the first thing that I would say that, to ensure at least to give you a good starting point to ensure that you will succeed, is to shift from a brand focused approach to a customer focused approach. What does that mean? That means that I see a lot of people, a lot of companies putting up things on their website or communicating, sending emails or sending communication or writing things about themselves. So much so that they're not relevant to the problem you're solving. So, instead of just talking too much about who you are, how great you are, maybe you can start talking about your prospect and how you can, the issues that they're having, the challenges that they face in their industry, and how you can solve that. So that's pretty much having a really relevant value proposition that resonates with prospects will be a really good starting point for you to shift if you identify your company and yourself doing those things. That will give you the right tone, the right language that you need to use to feed all of your tactics, your content, your campaigns. So make sure that instead of talking too much about you and how great you are, maybe just think about from a perspective of your prospect. What would they like to see when they do a Google search, when they're reading a blog? What would they like to read? How about you talk about them, how you can help them, how they can solve how you can solve their problems. So that's kind of like the first thing that I would say to shift from. So brand focused approach to a customer focused approach. And I think that's gonna be a good starting point for you in all of your tactics.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. It's not just talking about that you've got this great widget on the market. It is talking about, hey, you've got a problem, and here's how my widget can solve it for you, so that it's direct. And it's similar in PR, right? Nobody cares about the fact that you've got this widget. It's like, well, what are you doing that's changing the game, that makes it newsworthy for people to even care about what's going on, or what's the trend that's out there. So absolutely, there are some similarities between what you're doing on the marketing side and what I do for PR clients.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. You're so right. And the next thing that I would say that really ties to what you just talked about is to be just highly targeted. I mean, success comes from taking the harder road, right? You can do something more general that takes less time. Like they say, spray and pray. But what I found to be the most successful is to be very specific about who you're talking to, and that takes effort and work. But it's so worth it to focus heavily on your ICP and developing your personas. This important aspect will be key to your success, because if you know who you're talking to and what they want, what they desire, what they expect, and how they operate, you'll most likely be successful because you know exactly what, how to be effective in your communications and how to get people to be interested in you as well. The third thing is pretty much to align processes, people, and technology, and that includes data. So I think I continue to say this over and over again, like a broken record, but alignment is everything in marketing. Alignment with your teams, with what MQL means to sales. It needs to mean the same thing to marketing. Align processes, how you're gonna hand out those leads, and align all your tech stack, all of your technology, how things work. It's really important for things to work, because if not, if one of these things aren't aligned, if people aren't aligned, the teams aren't aligned, if processes aren't aligned, or if the technology or your data is not aligned, a lot can go wrong. A lot can fall through the cracks, and then your tactics won't be as successful as it could be, because you could be missing out on a really important aspect of your data, or an important aspect of something that just doesn't look right. And that's preventing you from being more and more successful. So make sure you're aligning people, processes, and your technology and your data to be able to have a really full understanding in front of you of what's happening and where to pivot, and what to do, as a next step. And I think the fourth, pretty much best practice that I would give to people, just as a soundbite, would be make sure you're targeting your accounts differently depending on their journey or their buying stage, right? Because if you just send general information, or you use the same type of content, tofu, bofu, and mofu, you're really not helping these accounts and these prospects to evolve in their awareness journey. So make sure you use valuable information from intent data, behavior data, and everything you have, to match prospects' needs and to meet people where they are in their level of awareness. So really be mindful of top, mid, and the bottom of the funnel, and what that content and what those call to actions and what those really details need to be, depending on where people are in their level of awareness, in the stage that they are of understanding of the issue that it's happening in their industry, and then the problem that you solve. And I think finally, the final thing I would say, it would be to just pilot and test and analyze everything and expand it strategically. Don't do everything at the same time. For example, if you want to start one vertical, if you want to start I'm going to redo that one. And I think I'm able to finish in 2 minutes. So last thing that I would say in terms of best practices is just to make sure that you test and you tweak and you analyze everything as you go. And just try not to do all at once. Try to test one vertical at a time, and then you replicate those wins and successes to other verticals. So be mindful and try to expand strategically. I think that, will go a long way.
Well, those are all wonderful insights, Pauline. Let's talk about some of the trends you're now seeing in the demand gen world. What should people be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, so one of the trends that I've seen grow and grow in the past few years is definitely using webinars as part of their demand gen strategy. A webinar is an extremely powerful tool to educate people, to get closer to people, to understand their pain points, to resonate with them, to be able to express your value proposition and your product very well. And it's a good way to get people engaged and curious and interested in the topic that you want to cover. So certainly an amazing tool, if done correctly, can generate a lot of good businesses, good opportunities there. Another one that I would say is definitely using artificial intelligence to evaluate and analyze your persona, your data, using that technology to see signs and little things that perhaps you're missing. For example, sometimes people, they get too caught up on certain things, on certain pieces of the data, but they forget the bigger picture. So I think mixing the artificial intelligence in your demand gen can really help you enhance your eyes and for you to be able to see not only the little things in the data, but also the bigger picture in terms of behavior as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen firsthand how webinars really can help grow that pipeline, right? By getting people
Yeah,
in the door. It is
absolutely.
really a very personal conversation that you're having with
Yeah.
folks, and they really can learn a lot about what your value prop is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can accelerate things. Webinars can also be part of your pipeline acceleration strategy to get people to, move stages, to get more like into deeper conversations if they resonate with you and your product. So there's just like a lot of good opportunities that, that webinars and community circles and online events can really bring to your pipeline into your demand gen program.
Great stuff as usual. Well, thank you, Pauline, for enlightening us about the world of demand gen. And there's tons more to talk about. So we've got many more episodes ahead to talk about marketing and PR and everything in between. So make sure you continue to join us on Two Friends Talking Trends. Until next time, I'm Mike Pachenik, and she's Pauline Bayron. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys, so much for joining us. This has been a great conversation. I look forward to seeing you next time.